Up on this, please, somewhere. I said the close-up. There we go. The 5-hour energy, 1-hour energy shot. Because I'm in person with Evan Cohen after 2 weeks of being away from him, I feel like I need to bust this sucker open right now. It's break glass in case of emergency.
I was just going to say, it says open here in case of lost hour.
Yes,
you definitely lost one.
I'm definitely on the losing side right now because I got to deal with Evan Cohen in person.
I'm sitting here.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. That's the point. That's why I got to take this shot.
Ooh, I like that.
Look at you. All right.
Yeah,
here we go. He's opening the top of it. He's taking the wrapper off the one shot. I think you have the 5-hour underneath there if you do that too.
I'll look for you.
By the way, with 5-hour energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's opening his mouth. What is happening right now? He's opening it with his mouth. Wow, look at you.
You got a regular strength one too. That's great flavored.
In the meantime, I will tell everybody I'm excited, and I know we're all excited. About 2 hours from now, we're going to have 2 special guests on at the same time, and they are from SC Plus. What are we talking about? ESPN is bringing sports fans a brand new way to stay updated on the latest headlines and top moments on expert insights with SC Plus. Fresh take on SportsCenter exclusively on Disney Plus. So what you're going to get: daily sports news, insights, exclusive commentary, streamed live, fast-paced, streamlined format centered around the popular SC Top 10 Countdown. And who is it with? 9 a.m. Eastern every single day, Monday through Friday, with the 2 guys who are going to join us at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, Gary Streisky, Randy Scott, 2 of the funniest guys around, and they are going to join us as part of the SC Plus team, as well as, by the way, on the weekends, you get the legendary Hannah Storm and Jay Harris, who's been on with us as well. Both of them have. So that's on the weekends. SC Plus with Disney Plus. That's awesome. So looking forward to that. You just heard CeCe's voice coming back there from February 27th about the Cincinnati Bengals. We learned yesterday that the Bengals have granted Trey Hendrickson, their stud defensive end who led the league in sacks this past year, the opportunity to go and seek a trade. So do we look at the Bengals offseason as succeeding or failing already?
Well, I can't understand how this is a good thing for them. I know that they're trying to figure out the financial puzzle with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson. But what was the unit last year with the Cincinnati Bengals that we thought needed the most work this offseason? The defense. So why would you remove the best player on the unit that you need to improve? I know that they're trying to figure out their priorities when it comes to these 3 guys, but I thought Trey Hendrickson would be a lock for them to figure it out with because they need him. The defense wasn't great last year with him. He had 17.5 sacks, 54 pressures, and they still ranked about 27th in total defense with his production. So I don't know why the Cincinnati Bengals think if they move on from Trey Hendrickson that their fortunes are going to be any better if they don't improve the defensive side of the ball. And I don't know how you improve the defensive side of the ball if Trey Hendrickson isn't there.
Well, yeah, nobody has more sacks in the last 2 years than Trey Hendrickson, right? He's got 35 sacks in the last 2 years. There's only one other player that has 30 sacks or more, and that's TJ Watt, and he's got 30.5. So Trey Hendrickson has the most sacks of anybody in football over the last 2 years. That's more than Myles Garrett, more than Micah Parsons, more than anybody else. So he is an absolute phenomenal player. And with all of that production, your defense was still atrocious.
Yeah.
And so I think the question that we have to ask is, what can the Cincinnati Bengals do with the cap space that they would save by not paying Trey Hendrickson a top-of-the-market contract and with the draft picks that they would then receive in trading Trey Hendrickson to another team? I think that's the conversation that we have to ask, because it's not just about Trey Hendrickson and losing his production, but it's what can I do with that cap space? What can I do with that draft capital to improve my football team? Because if we're keeping it a buck, their defense needs bodies, not just one Trey Hendrickson. And I think that's the proposition that the Cincinnati Bengals are looking at. And then, by the way, listening to Mel Kiper and all of our draft pundits here at ESPN, what have they repeatedly told us? This is a really deep draft for defensive linemen. This is a really deep class for free agent defensive linemen. But you know which class is not deep? Wide receivers, both in the draft and free agency. So it makes all the sense in the world. If there's going to be an odd man out when it comes to the big 3 that Cincinnati is trying to re-sign, go ahead and let it be Trey Hendrickson, because I got a better chance at trying to find players at that specific position that can help me mitigate the loss of his production rather than moving on from T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, who play on the offensive side of the ball, with Joe Burrow, who is our identity.
Joe Burrow was on First Take on February 6th with Stephen A. Smith and Molly Karam on ESPN, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time, and had this to say about the Bengals offseason.
We need Trey back. We need to give him what he's worth and what he deserves. He's earned that. And we need our young guys to come on. We need to draft well. We need guys to come in and produce immediately.
Yes.
We don't have time to wait around.
Right.
And I think we have the young guys that are capable of going into an off season, training the way that they need to, taking advantage of all the opportunities that they can, and come out and play well early.
So this is where this becomes a really interesting thing. This is a be careful what you wish for and what happens if your wishes don't come true. So Trey Hendrickson at this moment does not look like he's going to be back. Mm-hmm. They're moving in the direction of trying to keep T. Higgins. There's no guarantee of that happening. If they do keep T. Higgins, that's a lot of money with the wide receiver position. And so this is where I wonder, what's the best scenario for them? Is it to not do what Joe Burrow wants, or is it to do what Joe Burrow wants?
Oh, we said the best case scenario is to not do what Joe Burrow wants.
What does he do then as a result of that?
Well, I don't know how he would be able to complain. They're paying him a top-of-the-market contract, along with making Jamar Chase the highest-paid non-quarterback in football, along with paying T. Higgins a top-of-the-market deal. I don't know how the quarterback can be upset when you have two A-plus receivers that are getting paid top-of-the-market money. I don't get how the quarterback can be upset under those circumstances.
Maybe because he and the offense had to drag this team down the stretch, and the defense was the weaker side of the football, and now they're already at a bigger deficit if Trey Hendrickson walks. So you're asking Joe Burrow to do even more than he already did last year. I don't know how he's going to be able to continuously top his output. Maybe they figure it out and they don't start slow like they historically have with Joe Burrow as the quarterback, and they put themselves in a better position at the very beginning of the season. But I can't guarantee that. So you're asking Joe Burrow to do more because you're prioritizing his two offensive weapons and not the defensive weapon in Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, and I think that the best way of doing this is to take the 18.7 of Trey Hendrickson and the 26, right, of T. Higgins, if I'm not mistaken. Take those two and turn that into 6 players.
I agree.
But they're not doing that. T. Higgins is going to be back.
Well, no, I think T. Higgins will be back, but the Trey Hendrickson piece of it, though, he's going to get $16 million in cash this year. The top of the market is $35.5 with Max Crosby's new deal.
But they need more. So let's say
that's $20 million in cap space.
Right. So that gets you how many players?
It should get you a couple of plus starters. How
many starters?
Plus the draft pick. So they
need more than that, though.
No, but what I'm saying is Trey Hendrickson, moving on from him, could result in you getting 3 defensive starters.
Right.
To help you improve that unit. And like I said, they need bodies. They just don't need one Trey Hendrickson. And that was the issue that they saw last year. Now, they were decimated with injuries along the defensive front. So hopefully being able to get some of those guys back healthy. Chris Jenkins continues to take that step in a positive direction, develop going into his second year. I think the Cincinnati Bengals defense under Al Golden will be markedly better than it was last year, especially with them taking this approach. Again, they need players, not just one player. And I believe that this approach of moving on from Trey Hendrickson is the right one.
That sounds like a compliment to Cincinnati. I don't think there's beef anymore.
It is a compliment.
It
is a compliment.
Coming up, matchmaker, make me a match, find me a find, catch me a catch. We will do that after CC tells you this about Granger.